Good day, everybody. Today we are speaking about artificial intelligence and machine learning and how that will reshape the finance function. Machine learning is an ongoing process, and it's important to understand that machine learning has to be done upfront initially to get the data model sorted out, cleaned up, and train the computer. But then as the computer carries on doing his data annotations, humans will have to check and make sure that the right annotations are being made and the right assumptions are being made. So to start off with, you need to have raw data. If you don't have raw data, you cannot apply machine learning. The raw data will then be cleaned by humans or human intervention, and it will be annotated. After that, it will be given to the computer to start learning what was done and how the human annotations were done. From that, the computer will then start doing its own annotations and its own labeling automatically. After the initial annotations were done, then human intervention is required again to check what the computer has done, if it was done properly, if the data model is making sense, and if not, then it will be adjusted. Or if it's fine, then it will be put back into production, from where ongoing data annotation will take place by the computer and it will have to be checked by the humans ongoing. So how does AI look in everyday life? All of us are using some sort of a AI application, if we know it or not. For instance, Google, LinkedIn, e-commerce websites like Takealot. So if you take LinkedIn, for instance, your behavior and your interests will be tracked by AI robots, which will then, based on your interests and based on friends that you are linked with, they will then start populating advertisements or points of interest or make suggestions of new friends that you should linked with. How has technology changed the finance industry over the past 30 years? I have come to the conclusion that we are exactly where we were 30 years ago, where we are at a crossroad where we change now from on-premises data to go into the cloud data, and where we are going from text to voice. So way back in the 1990s, we had DOS and we had WordPerfect as a word processor system. And I think a lot of people don't know about these products any longer. But those days we had an automated manual process where we did the letter in WordPerfect, we printed it, we put it in an envelope, and we had to mail it still. We couldn't email it. It was not available 30 years back. Same with faxing and the same with the old green screen computers with the floppy disks. Those are not around any longer. That's 30 years ago. So since the advent of that technology, we saw the information highway and Microsoft Windows come to the forefront. So with that came collaboration tools like Skype and GoToWebinar. Emailing came to the business environment and to the information highway in general. YouTube started coming to the forefront from 2016 quite a bit as an educational channel where you can actually go to and you can learn just about anything of anything and everything there. I refer to it as University of Life. Mobile devices, they have really come to the front, whereby they are now more powerful than your old PCs. You are transacting more on your mobile device than on your laptop. For argument's sake, it is faster to do a transaction via your mobile device than to do it through your computer. The old spreadsheets that we had are now referred to as smart sheets because they can now start talking back to your financial systems or to other applications. They are not just a spreadsheet where you do number crunching. Also, these days we have got more intelligent dashboards that are interactive and that they can be parameter driven, and you can change and do a few what-if analysis on the dashboard. It is not just a single screen that you can look at and make no changes. So podcasting has also been, as of late, gained a lot of traction because people don't have enough time to watch videos or enough time to read their mails or any other literature. And they are now listening to these things over the radio while they're driving. And it's a lot safer to listen than to read while you're driving. Then where are we currently and where are we going towards? So currently, we are looking at holograms where we go into a virtual reality environment whereby we can have virtual menus on the screen. You can touch them, they can execute certain commands. Then we also have robots like Alexa that can take voice instructions, that can execute those on your behalf. We've got drones gathering information out in the field, especially in the agri industry, that can go out, gather the information, bring it back to the office, and we can work with that further. So your dashboards we have spoken about, they can do forecasting, they can do certain what-if scenarios, they can work out your cash flow for you based on certain criteria that you've set up in your dashboard. What will the computer or the robots do for you in your work environment? The computer will start learning from what you are doing on a day-to-day basis. For instance, if you enter the office and you normally then open up your emails or you open up your ERP system, you will now instruct or you will speak to your computer, asking it to explain to you where we stand with the cash flow. What are the top 5 debtors outstanding? Or you will ask, what expenses do we need to approve? Things like that. You can ask it to organize your coffee. It won't bring it to you, but you can at least then get it to order you coffee. When we go to meetings, we will have robots in the meeting room that will take minutes and that will transcribe them from voice into text and mail the minutes as we leave the meeting. We can also rely on those robots to bring information quite quickly to the meeting if we haven't pre-prepared for that. You will ask the robot to bring some information from the ERP or the operational system and show it on screen for you instantly. The most common usage of algorithms are in the share trade industry, where it's predicted that up to 70% of all the trades are done through robotics, AI, and algorithms that are being applied. The reason for that is it's a lot faster and it can make decisions in a split second where humans will take some time to make the decision, and by that time the trade is most probably not as lucrative as it was before. Also, password and access control will be changed over to retina recognition. We are at this stage compiling a lot of login and password information, but that will fall away by recognizing who you are through the retina recognition going forward. Right, then let's look at where is AI currently in the FinTech market. What applications are already up and running? Debt collection is one of the examples that I can speak about, where your customers will be informed in time that their invoices are up for payment. It's due by date is like 5 days away, and please make payment. Predictive analysis, where we analyze data and we build predictions based on the data that we've analyzed as to how the future will look like. Regulatory compliance and fraud detection, that is 3 items or 3 areas in the financial services industry that will be mostly impacted with artificial intelligence, where we will analyze data and try and detect fraud, but also prevent fraud. Credit scoring or direct lending, when you apply for a bond, the robot can quickly do a check on all your credit records across databases, and it can come back within, say, 10 minutes to approve or disapprove your bond. Next, we need to look at what is being developed for the future from an ERP systems perspective. As we explained earlier on, Alexa can be also utilized to reach zero-touch automation. By that, we mean that you will speak to your computer more than what you will interact with it via the keyboard. You will ask your computer, what are my longest outstanding debtor? Who is my highest value outstanding debtor? Or what is my prospects look like? What prospects should close this month from a sales perspective? Or what is our cash flow looking like based on the financial situation, the cash on hand and the debtors and creditors? When we do processing, we will have interactive assistance from AI, whereby on the processing screen, we will type in the description of the transaction. The computer will then analyze the description and it will make a connotation to the expense account that it think it should be allocated to. So you will not think about the expense account any longer. It will be populated for you. Also, from an advisory point of view, when you do transaction processing and you are using VAT codes on a transaction that usually you don't use VAT for, it will prompt you and say that you're not supposed to use VAT, and it will go to the knowledge base and fetch the specific paragraph or the article that relates to why you should not charge VAT on this specific transaction. These are just examples. Right, then we get to the audit, internal, external audit features, and also in the financial services industry, what are being done as far as robotic process automation, RPA in short. This process has been rolled out quite effectively in internal auditing programs, in internal audit, and then also in financial services industries like the banks. They have already deployed robotic process automation. PwC has predicted that 45% of the workforce tasks can be automated, and that would save an estimated $2 trillion expenses in costs in the global workforce. We are also going to see a bottom-up approach from robotic process automation, in the sense that we can now evaluate the bulk of the transactions. We don't have to rely on a sample test, because we can now consider all the transactions when we do our analysis. The main aim for robotic process automation is to lower operational costs, amongst others, adhere to regulatory requirements and compliance, up the employee productivity, once again, detect fraud or prevent even fraud. So it is really a value add, and it has already been deployed in the back office of financial institutions. We are not aware of that because we don't have interaction with those, but they are primarily deployed in the back end of any organization. So having said all of that, and that robots will take over and that they will do all the repetitive tasks, there will still be some sort of a skill set required from humans in order to make sure that the robots are doing their job correctly and that we analyze what they are doing. So the future skill set of people in the financial industry will consist of most of these attributes, and people will have to start retraining themselves and upskilling themselves to be still relevant going forward. We will still require humans to know the business and to do the business analysis. We will still have to have critical thinking, whereby the computer will think out of the database that it's working on or the data sources that it's working on. But what about the data sources that it's not considering? Those data sources will be in the brain of the human, and that will have to be applied to the result that the computer came up with. Also, creativity. Certain solutions need more creative thinking, and we know that computers are really binary. They're not creative. So therefore, we will have to have creative interaction from a human point of view. Very important is IT security. We are moving from on-premises into the cloud, or if we are not doing that, we are interacting with databases or data sources that are in the cloud. That brings a whole lot of other complications and risks to the table. So therefore, we will have to have very good IT security skills that are continuously being developed by humans, preferably, and that will look at all the new risks that are being presented by the new technology that we are deploying. So hopefully I've given you some insights as to where we are moving with AI in the finance industry. We are predicting that some of the rollout of AI will be a lot slower than anticipated, but it is happening, although not at lightning speed like other technologies that are being rolled out, but it will happen sooner than later, and we've got time now to upskill ourselves. Thank you for listening, and if you do have any comments or any suggestions, please drop them in the comments box below the video, and we will reply to you shortly. Thank you.